So let's just move on to another part, jumping around. So this one here, I'm going to follow my own advice from earlier and I'm going to add some extra loops in case I need them, which I probably will. And I'm just going to go ahead and skip forward a bit here in time so that I have the gun open, because I'm going to do the inside here. Actually, maybe not. But I'm going to bevel this one in here because I'm going to do a cutout here, and I want to have these loops so I can do, you know, things like this before I do the cutout. Okay, maybe I should do that first. Yeah. Try mirroring as well. Okay. We can move the time back. So I want to have, you know, some kind of cutout here to connect these two parts. So I'm gonna do something like this, and I'm also gonna do a small cutout here. So I want to link these two a bit better. So I'm gonna make another cut here. Like that. I'm going to save the cutter here because I want to use it for later. Now it can just be like this. Questions here over here if I should just do this or I think I'm just gonna do that. So now at least I have the choice. I think I'm gonna just take this one. I'm just gonna use the push tool and just push it in a little bit, and then I'm gonna turn on the symmetry and just move it in a little bit like this, because then it moves in from both sides. So but I want to do some more complex cutouts here, I think so. Make one like that. I'm just making stuff up here. I have no idea. Alright. That's okay-ish. But the nice thing with doing these booleans and this so you can do so many messed up shapes so quickly, and it kind of fits with the retro style of the rifle. And you see we have like tons of problems here with the shading, but we're gonna hack around that later as much as possible. So it's one of the limitations of this method currently. Will be fixed soon, but for now you have to kind of work with it a bit and adapt the designs a little bit, tweak them a little bit based, you know, if you don't want to live with these artifacts. It looks a bit wrong. That is interesting. Okay. Cut out it is. Another cool thing you can do now that you have this, I'm gonna actually hide all the other layers because I'm gonna do some things here first. And instead you can very quickly cut and make panels and stuff. Problem is I don't want everything here to be cut up, so I'm just going to bevel this one in. This is going to be another like a separate segment, so I'm just going to copy paste this one, so I still have this one here. Do a thicken. I use thicken a lot instead of bevel because bevel doesn't create a backside, but thicken makes it, you know, solid, which is great when you're dealing with booleans. So let's show everything else. I'm just going to do a cut, like a slice, like this. And now I'll set it to have a gap here. I'm going to turn it off, and we're going to turn on split. And make a tiny gap, I guess. Yeah, something like this. So the cool thing with this now is that it has separated them, and the same way that this worked with this part here, this one here now has this is a cut. So for making sci-fi panels and stuff like that, you can basically just turn this one on and then just cut into any given shape, and you just cut a bit, and there you go. So let's see what we can do with this. I want to do something like this. Not quite sure. That's not so cool. Skip that one. Maybe. Or this is pretty much half my process. I do something, it doesn't look good, and then I just take that part and I put it somewhere else instead. Okay, that's a bit cooler. Maybe. Alright, we'll do it like that. So now we can go back inside here. The reason why I split this one out was I didn't want this one to be affected by the split that I did earlier. So do this now so that I have a better idea of where I'm at. So I'm just going to exclude all the polygons. Okay, I think we can pretty much leave this one for now. Actually, this is pretty cool. Let's take this one, pull it back, copy paste it, thicken it. So what happened there was that it tried to do a boolean on this one even though it was invisible, and that doesn't work. So I did a boolean and left the cutter. Okay, so now it looks like this has a purpose, which it totally does. This design totally makes sense. I'm not just making things up. Alright. Now, actually, I realized that there's a part here that kind of bothers me. This shape here, it's not so nice. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Give that a little bit nicer angle than it had. Alright, now I'm actually going to take this and I'm just going to copy paste it into a new layer. I'm just going to name that like backup, because in case something goes really wrong. And I'm just going to take this one and I'm going to freeze it. First I'm going to make this properly. So here I use the edge weighting, the normal sub D edge weighting. You can just something like that. Maybe step down a little bit. This one I want to keep rather hard. So to see if I can tweak the shape a little bit more before I freeze this whole thing. That, and I'm just gonna freeze it. Now that I've frozen it, I'm gonna do some cuts in it. So one thing that I want to do is that so I'm just gonna put this in its own layer. Now this is a bit too thick, but I want to do something like this. Basically, I'll slice it in half, but I'm gonna end the slice here. Or will I? Maybe it will look nice. That's just. Actually, before I do it, I'm gonna do another cutout. So. Just realized that it will be more convenient this way. So I want to do a cutout, something like this. See if that works. So like that. Check. Might be overdoing it. Yeah, just gonna undo that to make it smaller. Makes a bit more sense. I'm just gonna grab this one here from earlier. Scale it up a little bit. Do a cut up there as well. Now I can do my little split here. So let's just do another little thing here. I'm gonna punch a small hole in this one. Actually, first, these might be too low poly. Can deal with that later. So I'm just gonna punch a hole here. Just merge these words. And now I can add a quick thing here, just starting at the box. Just copying this. scaling it to a quad, like thickening it, so now it's even. Yeah. Alright, we should straighten this one out now. Now it's time to go do something about the front here. So I'm gonna see if I can make all this align up a little bit more interesting. So Modo tends to get pretty sluggish relatively quick, depending on which version of Modo you're running. So quite often when I'm doing this kind of modeling, I'm actually moving things to a new layer quite often. So for example, now I'm just moving this to a new layer, so everything is just a little faster overall. So I'm going to try to get rid of some of this, boxiness that I ended up with. I really like to take this, cylinders and just intersecting them into shapes, because the way the rounded shader handles it just smooth things out a lot. So it's great for placing things like this. So now I can take these and paste this, thicken it. I'm just gonna copy paste this again, move it there. Actually move this out even more. And now this will merge nicely in the with the rounded shader. Now I'm just gonna forward a bit in the animation here and see if we can do something about the inside here a bit. So this one is a bit plain at the moment, or well, there is nothing there. It's a better description. So I'll close off some of the gaps in here, make it a little bit less random, a little bit more engineered. For example, these things also look a bit off. We do want these to resemble, some proper kind of tracks. So thin this out considerably, a little bit. It's a much better base. But it would be cooler if they had something like this. So this is the clone tool, which I use quite a lot. So this is not going to go down very well unless we split this one up a bit. The triangulation just won't be able to handle it. Okay. Cut. Actually, make a bit more fiddly. There. I'll just take this one and copy paste it and then just flip it upside down. There. Another thing that I'm a bit allergic to is like when something feels like it has the same depth everywhere. So let's put it in another layer. Or depth, I mean thickness. So I'm just going to do this, pull it forward. I noticed that I pulled it forward 30 millimeters, so I'm just going to pull this one back again. So it's actually has the same length. I'll take these and put in another layer as well. Give them a sharp bevel. Question is if I should do anything like this with them or not. Might be not what I'm looking for, not sure yet. Oh, we'll keep that one as backup, the other one, so it's fine. Another thing I want to do is to do some small cuts in this one first here. Actually, we might... Nah, I'll do it with cuts, whatever. I'm just gonna do it the proper way, but no point in doing that. We already ruined the topology. A couple more things that I want to make sure I get in here is that I want to have something here on this one, and I want to have some kind of like machinery inside. So I'm gonna start by just taking symmetry for now. I want to have some segments here. I want them to cover the rail segment entirely, but something that allows me to add some more detail on the inside of this one without it clipping into the body of the rifle. So I'm gonna start with just doing this. Let's test. Just gonna copy this one, and so this is where it would be located. That should work. So I can actually use this shape for something. So copy paste. And I'm gonna basically I'm just gonna make a quick rail here. Maybe I'll just make it solid instead. Well, I'll make it into a rail. So let's grab these. So I'm just gonna use the quick wrap on it. Select the border edges. Oh, this is tricky because the quick pipe actually runs on the initial location, so I actually need to do it like this to get the right place. Okay. It should, in theory, work well. I think so. I'll scale it down a bit later. I'll get something more going on here at least, instead of just the I should thicken this up a bit. Make sure they don't do this. So there is some bug here. It's just flipped. Okay, let's see what's next. Probably doing something about this box here. So that's certainly not meant to be a box. So I'm just gonna see if I can get some interesting details going here. Do another cutout. Another thing that's been annoying me a bit is that how large and flat this whole thing is. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna copy paste it to a new layer and small thicken. This, and I'm just going to do a cutout on this one so it's like a thicker ridge. gonna bevel this. Do something with this, and then just do a cutout. This. And while I'm at it, I'm just gonna do one more cutout. That's too high up. There. Looks alright. Another thing I want to do is to do some small cuts. This one here. See if I can do some irregular shapes. Something like that, except maybe not. Not so close to the middle. Now that we have this one covering here, we can actually do some more aggressive cutouts over here. Paste it and do that twice. There. So now we're quickly approaching the point where the base modeling is almost done. We're gonna move on to the more detail-oriented stuff, like adding all the small rivets and all the small cutters. You know, the line for the final detailing before moving on to texturing. Make sure the last things want to hit before doing that. I can probably just keep on, doing this forever, but I do want to keep this relatively brief, and you've seen most of the techniques involved. At least in this stage. Okay. Let's just go in and check. Now, of course, the animation is a bit broken because I have moved things around, so we can take all of these. Paste them back where they belong. Here, so you can preview it. course the mechanism here that needs some love. So we could go in and take a final pass here on this one. Oh. A bit hard to work in here. That. Just adding some very, very basic detailing. So it doesn't look like a box, or at least not an undetailed box. Okay, there. Now the last thing I want to do before I go into the final stage of detailing is just to clean up some of the things here. Now, I've also been like quite sloppy with the mirroring, so I'm gonna have to, you know, suffer for that a little bit, but I'm just gonna go through it and basically fix it. So I'm gonna use one of the Seneca scripts, which is called this delete half, and it just does what it says basically. So you can delete inside. So I'm just gonna take some of these things like this one and notice that it's actually not properly mirrored. These things are, so I'm just going to ignore them. So basically now I just have all the incorrect geo and everything here, so I'm just going to make sure that this is all correctly mirrored. This one isn't. This one's a bit trickier, so I'm just gonna basically I'm just gonna get rid of this and then just mirror it across X. Same thing with this one, just flatten it to the X-axis, mirror it. That's pretty much it, right? This one's as well. Right. Let's see if I catch something else later. See if I can do the same here, or if it's needed. Yes, very much so. Well, problem is that you can't do that because then you actually merge it with this one. So put it in a new layer and then go back there, paste it. I think same thing with this one. Yep. Okay. Yeah, this one also had this problem. Okay, I think that should be it. Now we can move on to the detailing.